Sometimes the world is not great, folks, but I'll tell you what is great. An apocalyptic love story set with a backdrop of laughing zombies. Now don't get me wrong, I'm pretty cool and hella masculine, so normally I don't go for a romance novel, but Dark Bloom is different, with an underlining purity to it that most modern media doesn't have.
Is the kind of woman that made you want to drop to your knees and thank God you were a man. Yeah. She reminded me of my mother, all right, no doubt.
The zombie apocalypse is definitely interesting here, and adds some tense moments to the plot. But what really shines is the relationship between Nick and Kate. That really is the focus of the story, as they both fight through their traumatic pasts and learn to depend on each other for survival. For this being a romance horror, I would not consider it a slow story at all. Every chapter, though not all action-packed, presses the story forward in a way that made me care and try to anticipate what would happen next. If you need tons of action to enjoy a story, this could be a struggle, as the action sets are few and far between. Some of the scenes are really touching too. I haven't read a romantic scene with the couple listening to metal before. For how dark the setting is, it actually feels really good. A lot like resting your feet in the sand.
It feels good on my toes. Good on my toes.
But that goes with a little fact I tend to believe about life. We would be nothing without our hardships. So use those challenges to get hella buff and be a better person. I'm going to share a few negatives, so get ready. The last section of the book had a great conclusion, but there were a few wasted chapters at the end that I didn't feel did anything for the story. Nowhere near as egregious as every part of The House of Leaves that isn't the Davidson record, though. And I still put The House of Leaves in my list of favorite horror books. My interest waned a little through these chapters, but thankfully, they find a way to pull you right back in for the finale. My second beef is a few of the impassioned lines were really cheesy, like something straight out of The Notebook.
What do you want?
You give me what I want!
What do you want?
Give me what I want!
What?
Give me what I want! That's not what I want! I want you to give it
Yet at the same time, they made me feel like I had something in my eye. I'm secure in my sexuality. Spoiler time, folks. Turn back unless you want a few examples of what you are in for when you pick this book up. Here's an example of one of the action scenes with the zombie hordes. One of the creatures had flanked around to his backside, unnoticed until its claw gripped at Nick's shirt. Spinning to face it, Nick kicked it in the chest to provide some space between them, chopping the machete through the air, but missing as the infected stumbled out of reach. Gnarled fingers clutched at Nick's shoulders as the other infected accosted him from the side. With a forceful push, the creature sent Nick sprawling into a glass display. The machete slid across the floor and hit the wall with a foreboding clatter. The glass and wood caved in, and Nick fell to the floor, shards piercing his back, his underarms, and his neck. Without any attempt to brace its fall, the infected fell straight on Nick's chest, knocking the wind out of him as it landed. Nick's lungs seized inside of him, desperately grappling for air. The creature spewed hot breath on his face as his mouth opened and prepared to feed. Nick held resistance against the monster's head with one forearm and groped around on the floor until he felt a good-sized shard of glass. It broke the skin of his palm as he clutched the shard and shoved the sharp end into the infected's neck. The creature howled as Nick dug the makeshift weapon through each layer of the skin until the glass was buried. This is a scene that will make you cry unless you are hella based. Listen, I did several tours overseas. The things I saw, the things I did. Nick left her to fill in the blanks with scenarios he could not form into words. During my last tour, my best friend died in my arms. I almost got myself and 2 other Marines killed trying to save his life. I returned home empty and distant. I cut off my family and friends. I never left the house. Some days, I wondered why I even bothered using up the air that someone else could be breathing. I felt like an inescapable waste of space. Had the world not gone to shit, I'd be gone. When the disease went rampant, I was only surviving out of necessity. Driven by some unknown force I wasn't aware of. Nick drew in a deep breath, and then exhaled, slowly. His next words would be those of a man dropping his defenses. For the first time, something Nick believed he would never do. But Kate needed those words. Then I met you. Suddenly, I had a purpose again. I had a reason to wake up every morning, to stay vigilant and protective, to put my all into every single day. You've revived something in me I thought I'd lost. If you want to leave, I can't stop you. But I don't think that's what you want. and that scratch on your arm doesn't scare me. It's a good book, and not one I suspected I would like when I figured out it had a big focus on romance. But I gave it a few more chapters and ended up really liking it. Thank you for watching, and post in the comments more books for me to review. Until next time.
What do you want?
Give me what I want!
What do you want?
Give me what I want!
What?
Give me what I want! That's not what I want! I want you! I'm Mediterranean!